So, so I would love to just hear from you in your own words about the power reinvention journey, the journey itself, and then even more importantly, all the shifts and healings and changes in your life and relationships that have happened ever since as a result.
Okay. Well, I absolutely loved the experience. I thought it was something that was very different than I had ever gone through, and it took me to I've tried to put words to it. It took me to a place where I was very conscious and very aware, but it was also very kind of a deep place in my soul where it was a place where I could invite Sabina, it was a place where Sabina could help guide me through and bring forward amazing information around my soul purpose. And it helped me see myself in a different light. It helped me see myself in a different way. And I was blown away by the messages that my soul allies communicated to me. It was things that surprised me. It was things that engaged me. And it was things that at this point, I think it's been 2 to 3 months since we've done it, have completely changed my life. I received a message that I was told I'll be moving from San Diego. And here it is. I think possibly maybe 3 months tops later, I'm in the midst of doing that. I've rented out my home and I'm moving down to San Diego, which is something I never, ever thought would ever happen. But one of the things that surprised me was I have always my entire life had a love of animals and was able to really discover through this process that animals really do speak to me. I had a beautiful buck speak to me in Soul Purpose, and I was flabbergasted and amazed at very, very last day in my home when I was moving to San Diego. A buck walked down my street and was literally about 10 feet away from me. I've lived there for 12 years. I've never seen a buck on my street. And it was absolutely amazing me to say, here you go through this process, on your computer interacting with somebody, and these messages come flying through, and you see things that you've never, expect to be seen, and there in reality in your real life is a message of saying, yes, you're on the right path, and yes, you're making the right decisions, and yes, you're choosing the right things. And it was such a beautiful message. It just really almost brought tears to my eyes to think, I'm listening, I'm acting, I'm trusting, I'm moving forward. And it all came from this place of being open and hearing what messages come to me and come through me. And it was really an amazing experience. A beautiful message that came out of my soul purpose journey was the wording, permission to receive. And it's one of those things, you hear these messages and you hear these words and you get chills when you hear them, just feel them at such a deep level. And I look back on my life, and it's like a huge process of what I've gone through. My soul's purpose in this lifetime has been, receiving messages from Source, receiving downloads. It's been receiving my confidence and growing. And it was crazy to kind of look back and be like, this message, even though I didn't have the words for it, has been something that I've been living and experiencing throughout my life in the past. And then here it is, going through such an amazing experience where there was such a healing and such a feeling of shedding my old ways, of really, unlocking the things that were holding me back. And so much of it lies in the permission to receive what my purpose is, what that message is, what the magnitude of that message, and giving myself permission to receive all that's entitled with it, so I can see myself starting to move forward in a completely different direction. I would say through going through that experience, being able to listen to Source and receive messages has come through so much more richly and intensely, and my intuition is much more enlightened. And another thing that I loved that Sabina pointed out to me was that there was a vision of me on rocks overlooking the ocean. And I was almost kind of in a I don't know what the right word is, but kind of in a perched motion of like leaning forward and about to kind of take off and about to move forward. And she pointed out, she said, do you notice that this feeling that you're experiencing in the soul purpose journey, or in the soul, this feeling that you're experiencing in the soul sanctuary is something that's very unfamiliar to you? And I had to pause and look at, here's me on this cliff, just about ready to pounce and move forward and really lead and be on my own. And it's not something that I had given myself permission to do, to lead other women and to be a champion to feminine leaders. These are all words that came out through this journey and through this process. And it's something that has given me such confidence. It's also given me a focused direction to move forward in my business and really allow myself to be that leader that I see in my soul purpose and step into that role. And I found just, over the last 30 days of saying yes to things that I never would have thought of 3 months ago, saying yes to helping somebody run a workshop and run a seminar, and saying yes to being in somebody's book. And it's just amazing to me the amount of direction and focus and confidence that it gave me to move forward in my business in a much bigger way and really step into the purpose that was shared with me and shown with me through that journey.
Fantastic. And perhaps in closing, if you are now branded having had the Power Reinvention session, and even if you redo the logo or whatever, I mean, the brand has been born out of you realizing your greatness along this journey way. If you imagined now, if branding would have done, but what branding does, it packages you or wraps you up in like who you are. It gives people a way to say, this is who I am. Can you even imagine or fathom how a brand would have to be if not from this place? I mean, that's what I'm kind of like trying to get to. I'm not really good at asking questions, but can you speak about that a little bit?
Yeah. Hey, let me think. Okay, here we go. So in my life, I've done other related purpose work, and I found messages that were all about feelings, messages or downloads that came through about I'm supposed to, help heal the hurt of the women of the world. I'm supposed to be, someone who's a truth teller. So they were all things that were very internal, that were emotional, that were feelings. And the difference that I found with Sabina's process is it really gave me something much more concrete. It gave me something that I could take, a stake and put it in the ground and say, this is what I stand for. This is who I am. And it took all of these feelings and emotions about what my purpose is, and it wrapped it up into a brand that I can stand for, that I can stand with. And it's something that's so much bigger than myself. It amazes me to think, like, where would I be if I hadn't gone through this process? Where would I be if I hadn't gone through this type of soul purpose journey and branding and really find, what is my soul purpose in this lifetime? And now I can say that, I have, in a short period of time, in an amazing work of working with her, I have this brand that I can live my life by. And that's something I will forever be grateful for. Yeah. For years been searching, what's my purpose and who am I and what am I supposed to be doing with my life? And there's a lot of stuff of knowing, and you just help me put it in a package where it moves it from the knowing and the feeling into the doing. It takes it, this is bigger than me, and I can't not move forward with it. This isn't something I can go put in a drawer and ignore. This is something I have to take forward out into the world.
Wow, I'm glad that came still through. Man, you have given us the gems today. Thank you so much. And of course, not just what you have given me in this interview, but also I'm just so touched that I could touch you and be the witness to you. That you can go out, literally millions of people globally. This is what we've been seeing.
Yeah, and I think that is definitely something that I was able, that you held this space for me to be able to see that in my face, because it's something that you kind of know, but you're afraid to admit, and you really just open up that space and that loving ability to say, like, yeah, this is what's possible for you.
And look, you're already a whole different person. I mean, you are...
I even wear my hair different.
Yeah. I mean, the confidence, the radiance that you exude, you are really, I mean, only a very short gap away from it.
Yeah. And for me, more than anything, like I shared with you that big steps that I've taken in my life, big times where I've invested in myself, whether it's, time or money, those big steps have all come from that intuitive hit of, I need this.
Mm-hmm.
And I knew with you, it was, I could no longer skip over, I need this process with you. I think I've known it for years that I need it, but it just came up like, now is the time to work with Sabina, and you need to move forward with this, because there's messages that you need to hear that I wasn't hearing until we opened up that soul sanctuary, and we opened up that sacred space, that I could hear these beautiful messages, that I'm supposed to move to San Diego, and now I am. Animals do communicate to me, and I hear and feel them differently than I did before we started this. And it's things that are so simple, and it's things that have been there in my entire life, but it really brought stuff to the surface where I could be conscious of it, where I could see it, where I could experience it, and now really live my life from that place, and live my life in a much more purposeful space.